business and magistrate, is that correct?
That's correct. Well done.
Congratulations, it's a great word. Can we have apologies? Oh, and the other thing I should welcome is that I'm very pleased to see Councillor Burton restored back to health and hope.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I thank the members and other people who sent good wishes to both myself and my wife with my recent illness. It's been really quite gratifying to have that good wish.
So can we have apologies for absence?
We have apologies from Councillor David Parsley, who unfortunately has had another family emergency today, Councillor Philpott, Councillor Kathleen Cooper, and Councillor McMurray. Thank you.
Thank you. Declarations of interest. That was myself, I've none that I'm aware of.
The usual North Somerset one.
None that I'm aware of.
None that I'm aware of.
No, no, no,
None that I'm aware of.
Youth Centre. Youth Centre.
None.
Thank you. Proceed with public participation. We're still on the old standing orders, of course, and we'll begin with those who have not spoken before, or who have spoken least before. Mr. John Capel. Would you like to go ahead, sir?
I've never been to one of these before, so I'm just curious. I'm curious about what happened down the lake rounds with regard to the pollution down there, and whose responsibility it is to monitor that sort of thing. And I'm also curious about, for years, we obviously had the traffic lights down in the test and they've gone, and people do manage it down there because it's so dangerous. But I wondered if there's any intention at any time for who's responsible to maybe put in a new roundabout down there or something like that, which would make it all clear for everybody rather than unclear. And the other thing is about the hearsay about the train railway line coming into Portishead and where that might be located and would it be close to the centre circuit and people actually. So there's 3 points really.
Thank you. Unfortunately, Councillor Parsley, who's the best informed person, I think, about the lake roads.
Chairman, I'm wanted to take up public participation time in responding to this. I can give an update on that,
Well,
but it will take up.
To help public participation, I'm interpreting it as only the speaking time of those who are speaking from the public. So replies and my interjections are not, the clock is not ticking.
Chairman, can I just say that I discussed this with John Flanagan, who is the senior officer, the other day. There is from time to time an algae bloom in still waters, in ponds. The last one we had in Portishead was 10 years ago, and this one, it's very difficult to identify the weather pattern which actually will actually create this and make this form. So it is a question of having to respond when it happens. Having said that, what will actually control the algae bloom is actually barley straw, and the intention now is actually to provide a platform of barley straw in the lake on a permanent basis. Obviously it will have to be replaced from time to time, and this is hope that this will control any outbreak which we do have in the future. As I say, the last one was about 10 years ago, and it's basically unpredictable. It does happen, it's unpredictable. All the council can do is actually respond to it when it happens.
Can I just add to that they also intend to aerate the lake in the coming year from time to time, so that it will hopefully help all sorts of things. Thank you.
I was curious on that really. Sorry. I was curious on that really about the monitoring process. Does somebody go down and check it every
for monitoring by the environmental services and reports back and then they act on the reports.
Okay, just the other matters you mentioned, the roundabout at the bottom of Cabstown, I think many people are concerned about that. That's, of course, a North Somerset responsibility, not the Town Council. I don't want to get into a very long, if you've got information on that.
Just information that there is a consultation process going on at the moment with regard to the what is happening at the Cabstone Junction, and we hope to hear something certainly before Christmas as to what is being planned.
And does the council have any involvement in that process or not?
We will be looking at it and commenting on suggestions that are going to be put before us. At the moment, we have nothing to look at.
Don't have members in the council sort of sitting on that board or however it works?
It's highway engineers.
I think we
Okay, thank you.
need to press on the question of the railway. That was a subject of a debate here a few meetings ago, and well, we should look at the appropriate minute. Again, that's something that is outside the powers of this council.
Thank you.
Can I ask Mr. John Dixon?
Yes, I've spoken on this matter before. I noticed we've got a uniformed gentleman at the back. I hope he's brought his rising book with him. Parking on bus stops, specifically Hallett's Way, where they still park too close to the marked spots, and the bus has to stick his posterior out. There are also other bus stops in Central Portishead where people are parking but they shouldn't do. Can you pressurise the uniformed gentleman to do something about it?
Thank you. Please stand here, please.
Thank you.
My name is Lisa Stanley and I was a town councillor for 10 years and stood down at the last election. I have concerns about new changes to standing order and specifically what can be discussed in public participation and what can't. I think that residents of Portishead aren't clear on what this town council have control over, and I think the wording is very woolly. For instance, as I read it tonight, you wouldn't have been allowed to ask your question and all the gentlemen before you because it's North Somerset that deal with the lake grounds and the lake and so on. And yet at other times we're getting responses from North Somerset Council on those matters. Now, I think, as a resident, my personal opinion is that we should be able to come along here and ask you questions on anything to do with Portishead. Some you will have control over, financial control, some you won't, but you can comment on planning applications, you can write to North Somerset Council on our behalf. So I think this kind of constant deciding what can and can't be ad hoc is confusing and also breaches your open and transparency policy as well. The other concern I have at the moment, we're heading for elections and we can start to see in the press this is all going to carry on through Portishead until Purda starts 4 years ago, just at the same time 4 years ago, and this relates to my concerns about North Somerset Council and Portishead and the communication between them. Councillor Pasley wrote to 2 of the town councillors here, and he started his email saying, a useful meeting tonight, I thought. It was good to talk about issues that may form part of our future policy in the 2011 elections, as well as tomorrow night's town council agenda. So he's obviously talking to town councillors and North Somerset councillors in the same email. This particular one was sent to Councillor Ros Cruz and Councillor Martin Cruz, who are only town councillors. He says, and it's regarding the skate park being sited at the lake grounds, this is a Tory District Council initiative. Therefore, any further moves to attempt to locate a skate park in the lake grounds, regardless of the outcome of the hearing, will be unhelpful and counterproductive to our efforts. With the 2011 elections fast approaching, we need to be singing off the same hymn sheet, and at the moment it seems we are not on the subject of a skate park in Portishead. Your North Somerset Council colleagues have made it clear no skate park on the lake grounds. Yet by consulting with Councillor Stanley, our team are clearly divided. I suggest we meet before the next 2011 meeting on the 20th to resolve what appears to be a serious issue. Now I think if North Somerset councillors feel it's relevant to tell our town councillors what to do, we have every right as a resident of Portishead to turn up at this meeting and say what we would like our town councillors to tell North Somerset councillors with our voice. You're voted in by us. It's relevant to Portishead whether you have financial powers or whether the powers of recommendation or comment. I hope you agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I expect very little, but...
4 points, please, to ponder. Point 1, skate park again. In March of this year, the Town Council had now decided that Station Road was now viable. Why, when it is close to a school and residences, is this an option? Surely Kilkenny Field is best option. Away from houses, schools, small children and play areas is best option. Also, please explain why nothing has happened since then. Second point, minutes of meetings. 2 months ago, the meeting was partially disrupted due to the chairman not knowing the rules. This was even mentioned in the newspapers, but not in the minutes. Can the council advise us why they're not printing facts, but would prefer to doctor the documents? 3, planning. The area of land facing the Albion, St Joseph School and Gordana School now has a planning permission for 8 houses. We all know it is an overdeveloped area around Bristol Road and High Street. It also has an oil pipeline running through it. Unfortunately, Councillor Terry has advised rejection but approved 5. I'm sure that all residents would say no if you asked them in this local area. It's time for the council to stand up for what the electorate want. And point 4, public participation. I mentioned this in the last meeting. Councillor Lord's Resolution 32.3C11 says, including any North Somerset councillor for a Portishead ward who is not also a resident. To me, this smacks of cronyism. Is this to keep Central happy? Those are the 4 points for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Finally, I'm pleased to say that although she spoke last time, we do have time remaining for Mrs Hennessy. Town and parish councils are rather dull and grey affairs, and Mrs Hennessy lends colour to it, and we very much appreciated her performance last time. So what have you got for us tonight?
Well, I wish I'd brought my Joe Public hat. I think I'll wear it in future because it's obviously missed. I'd like to mention firstly to the gentleman who raised the lake grounds. Thank goodness David Pasley didn't get his wish of speed bumps at the lake grounds, because obviously that money that would have been used for it is much needed on our lake, and make sure that our lake grounds stays as enhanced as it should be. So I hope that that does meet with his approval. Also on cab stand, I'm surprised the council hasn't told the gentleman sat here that there is a huge amount of Section 106 money for cab stand, and not one of you mentioned it to him. So I think it's hundreds of thousands of pounds, but I can't remember the figure off the top of my head. And £100,000, any more offers on that? But it's a huge amount of Section 106 money, and district councillors do have an input on that. Town council has no power whatsoever, and so although you're asked to comment, you have no power, but district councillors have. And I would like to think that the cab stand was finally resolved, and not resolved as David Pasley, David Jolly thought it was last time, to everybody's approval. I personally feel that the traffic in this town, as I felt at the very beginning, we have queues going from one end of the high street to another at peak time, and I don't think that anything will sort that out. The town is very overpopulated with vehicles. Moving on to public participation, one point that I did mention before, and I have mentioned it at several meetings, is if the minutes are incorrect in that they quote incorrectly the member of the public who spoke, how does the member of public actually resolve that? How can they correct something that's put into the minutes wrongly? And I've never ever had an answer for that, because once you then go on to approve the minutes, you do it after public participation, And when we've tried to correct you on it, we're told to be quiet. If we wait to the next meeting and we're not allowed to talk, we still can't correct those minutes. And so I think when you review your standing orders, that's one really crucial subject. And also, I have mentioned to Mr Cameron about my letter to him in August and to the clerk. I still haven't had a response to it, but there are still some questions that haven't been answered. One is, how will the public know if they're going to be permitted to speak? Now, we know what you've said, but people who don't come to these meetings regularly because of various reasons, sometimes I think they think the divide between the public and the councillors is too great. I think we should have more residents coming here, but when they register their wish to speak, how will they know if they're going to be permitted? Because they're not going to prepare in advance to come here to be told there's no time for you. Once a resident has registered their wish to speak in advance, will someone at the last minute in the hall take priority over another if the chairman wishes it, irrespective of whether both have spoken previously or not? You also asked for the subject. I would like some reassurance that when someone mentions a subject such as, I want to correct the councillors from last month, that someone won't take priority over me, despite the fact we've both spoken before, because correcting things in these meetings is really important. I'd also like to have reassurance that politicians, if you're going to change the standing order to allow district councillors to talk, I'd like reassurance that party politics won't come into it, because that's what I fear did happen before when David Joy was allowed to talk. And not only was he allowed to talk, he was allowed to talk on a subject which other residents had been told not to talk about, namely district council matters. And I feel, as others do, we should be allowed to come here and talk about many subjects, particularly when the town council has been written to by the district council for your recommendations. That's all I really want to say, but I do think you need to consider the public, particularly those who don't come to these meetings very much. They need to be very clear as to whether they're going to be able to talk and on what subjects. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, I believe Councillor Kelly does have a statement. It's just a report which the clerk will read out. Okay. Well, we come to reports to council. Perhaps we could deal with that now.
Okay. Councillor Jolly wishes to raise the matter of the police consultation on the 29th of September concerning their proposals to install a wind turbine on their land. Councillor Jolly attended and undertaken a prior